If you've been paying attention, you know that Mel Kiper has dropped Tua down a spot to number 6 in his latest mock draft, which would make him the third quarterback off the board, at least according to Mel, behind Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Now, our draft predictor, which is our analytics department, still has the number 3 pick overall as the overwhelming likeliest spot for Tua. Take a look at that, a 45% chance that he winds up at 3, and none of the rest of them are even as high as 20%. And so I wanted to get Mel back into the conversation this morning and try and get to the bottom of that, and he is here with us with Lewis and Booger as we are jam-packed this morning. Mel, good morning. So you're telling us what you're hearing from teams. Again, I want to make it clear. This is not your projection on the players, but what you're hearing from teams. But our analytics still think the likeliest spot for him is 3. How do you figure those two things?
Don't know. It depends who you talk to. Obviously, different feelings for different people. It's 32 teams in this league, Greeny. Obviously, 31 teams that you talk to. You don't talk to all 32. If you're lucky enough to talk to 30, and I don't think anybody does, or 5 or 10, that's what you do. You get that handful to build a consensus. And I think you look at where we are right now with Tua to trade up. Knowing the concern about long-term, even short-term durability would be a surprise to me. Now, had we had a perfect process, everybody would have been at their doctors be with Tua. Maybe that could have happened. But the way it is right now, I think the chances of a trade up are at least minimal compared to what it would have been had we had, as I say, that normal draft process.
Can we talk about that video that we showed that he released and we talked about earlier this morning here, and you're seeing it on your screen right now? How significant is that video? What did you hear from the people who will be making these decisions about what they're seeing on this tape?
Encouraging, nice to see. Everybody's rooting for Tua, and it's not like he's falling into the third round here, Greeny. We're talking about 1 pick, so it's not that big a concern if you go 6 to the LA Chargers. It was just one team deciding to go with a quarterback who's got a ton of talent ahead of him, who comes into the process clean. So, and some think he'll drop further than that. I don't, but there are some that said, hey, everybody's kind of doing their due diligence, thinking, hey, he could be dropping into the teens, and maybe then you can jump up there. It always brings up New England because of the connection, obviously, there with Bill Belichick and Nick Saban. So we'll see. Everybody's got every opinion. As I said, nobody's talking to 30, 31, 32 teams, Grinny. Nobody is. Nobody is. They have their handful of teams they talk to. They build a consensus from those teams, and everybody's teams probably are different. So that's why it's great. That's the element of the draft that makes it so fascinating, that until Thursday night, April 23rd, we really don't know, because guess what? Miami and the Chargers aren't telling anybody exactly what they're doing.
I hear you. No, the thing about it that I find most interesting, and I think most would, is that everyone seems to agree that Tua is a better prospect than Herbert. So if Herbert goes ahead of Tua, then injury clearly is the reason why. Booger, I haven't heard from you yet today. Let's hear this from you. What is your sense of what you've seen from the young man? Obviously, you followed him closely at Alabama. Your projection for him going forward, and the notion that he might fall behind Justin Herbert in this draft.
Well, to me, that's crazy, Greeny. I think when you look at what it takes to play quarterback, you talk about accuracy, decision-making, and timing, and also the intangibles. All those things Tua Tagovailoa brings to the table, and I get it. Some people are scared with the injury concerns, but Chip Kelly told me this once. When you play in the National Football League, it's not if you get hurt, it's when you get hurt. And Tua is a young guy. He's going to get hurt. It's part of the game. Look at all the quarterbacks in the National Football League. They've been hurt. They're going to get hurt. It's just about how you recover and can you prevent some of those injuries. And for people to say, I'm going to take Justin Herbert over Tua Tagovailoa, the gap between those two, to me, is astronomical. It's like an ocean. Tua is much better at all the things that it takes to play the quarterback position. And I get it. Herbert has the ideal size. He's big. He's mobile. But when you talk about being able to lead a team and do what the quarterback position requires to be done for your football team, throw it accurately, make good decisions, take care of the football, the ability to anticipate throws, Tua Tagovailoa does that better than almost anyone except Joe Burrow in this draft. And if you're taking Herbert before him, you're making a huge mistake.
That's really interesting. So, Lewis, let's go to you here. You'll be on one of the big chairs on our draft, and obviously you were a person who's been in the rooms where these decisions are getting made. Do you see the difference in your projection of the two players as being that significant, that wide of a gap between Tua and Justin as Booger does?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think he's a much better passer. Look, he played in a different offense with much better weaponry that was able to showcase all of Tua's skills. And I think he's much further along in his development than Justin Herbert. I find it interesting, though, that Booger said, he's much further along than everybody except Joe Burrow. Yeah, okay, come on. Don't be don't be too much of a homer there, Booger. But I love you anyway, and I'm one of those people who believe that those guys are pretty tight anyway. I mean, those guys are very close anyway. But yeah, Greeny, I definitely feel as though Tua, as far as decision making, accuracy, horsepower in his arm, the ability to play with touch, the ability to play in a pro style offense, whether it be operating under center, in the gun. I mean, he can do it all. He really can. I mean, the whole conversation around Tua and Justin Herbert really right now is a function of mitigating and eliminating risk and whether or not you will be held accountable if you take him before a guy like Justin Herbert and he gets hurt. Are you going to be held accountable, and are you going to be one of those people who winds up having people in your organization say, "See, I told you should have never taken him"? And on the flip side, if you don't take him and he winds up being great, are you going to be held accountable in this way? Like, did you overblow all of these injury concerns? And that's why I said before, being in alignment with ownership on down on this pick is absolutely critical. If you have ownership's backing and everyone in the organization understands that when you take him, he's yours. For better or for worse, he's yours. Whether he busts or he winds up being a Hall of Famer, he's yours. Then, hey, do what you got to do. Don't worry about it. Just trust your doctors, rely on your doctors, and go for it. Because I've had trainers and I've had medical people tell me, we're not really that concerned. It's whether or not you have the kind of alignment necessary in order to take him. It's simple as that.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.